I think the learning which I learned, and I now see actually many of our portfolio companies learn, and I've seen this repeat many times, is that, you know, compared to, let's say, the US, in India, it's extremely hard to scale like a cutesy tech business, where you say we're just providing a cool piece of technology and people will pay us a licensing fee for it. It's very hard to scale it beyond a point because I think the pricing is low. Customers are unwilling to pay, based on ROI. They want to pay based on cost because people think of, okay, we can build this ourselves, even if it's a cheaper, shabbier alternative, but people would go for that. When I say people, I mean enterprises, versus paying high license fee to companies. Hence, I think if you're on the revenue side, where you can control either revenue for them and you get into that line, you're much more likely to scale, which becomes like distribution. So even if you look at, let's say, the modern fintech companies, right? You look at, let's say, last few years, like Jupiter or Uni and some of these like largely funded companies and many others, right? One simple way would have been to just provide technology to the banks, right? Because the banks are already there. But I see
Right.
how hard that is to scale. So many of them launched these co-branded cards, right, or co-branded products where they took on the distribution burden. Said, okay, we will
Right.
distribute it, bank will be behind us, right? Which is basically the same strategy because it's theoretically much you can scale much more. You can actually get paid from the customer and then pay the bank, because the moment you get behind the bank historically squeezes you big time. And then it's very hard to build a venture scale business. Now, there are some exceptions. I see now, for example, I read, I don't know about M2P, for example, but I read about it, that they're like a technology provider, to banks and providing the stack. And
They
I
also
see,
take the MDR only. I mean, they're
yeah,
also earning MDR.
there you
Yeah.
go. There you go. So I think if you're
Right.
providing a simple versus in the US, let's say, for example, we see many companies who are, let's say, providing technology to a Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and charging millions of dollars. And in the process, like, for example, if you look at a company like Snowflake, Snowflake makes almost like several $millions a year from each bank that they sell to, and banks are okay paying that. Snowflake can do just that. They would never dream of getting into distribution or MTR, right? Because that's bank's business, right? But in
Right.
India, we see companies getting towards distribution to get a larger share of that pie because the license fee is not enough to build a large business.